One of the problems of running a YouTube channel, when you get information and you desperately want to get it out to an audience, you sometimes take what other people have sent you as research or as advice or as information, and you share it with the audience, and then only to find that that information was duff. And that's a lesson that I have learned big time. People send me emails all the time. I've got 1,400 emails that I have yet to reply to, and I'm struggling. I really am struggling. So unless it's really important, please reserve your emails, because there's so many, and I try to read them all, but I don't always get to them. But the point is, sometimes something seems incredibly urgent and you want to get it out, and as I say, you make a mistake. And I did that yesterday. I put a video out about this substance that's being put onto fruit and vegetables in supermarkets called Appeal, and it comes with a big sticker, so you should in theory see it. And it's something that is put onto the fruit and veg that is made by some process, I'm not quite sure, supposedly natural process, but you can't wash it off. The idea is to, as I said in my video yesterday, is that it's there to extend the fruit and veg's shelf life a little bit longer. Quite why you would want to extend the shelf life of any fruit and veg, I don't know, because it's better to eat it as fresh when all the nutrients and vitamins are there rather than when they've leached away. But anyway, that's the situation. So it's a product there to try and make the fruit and veg on supermarket shelves last longer. Now, I was also sent this data sheet, and it turns out it wasn't the data sheet for that product. There is a cleaning product. I think it's called Evans A157. It says here, Appeal Orange Neutral Cleaner for a chemical cleaning outfit. And it's got the same name, which is just unfortunate. That's the UK version, and the USA version is the one that's associated with Bill Gates, which is the one that's going on the oranges and things. Now, I don't know, therefore, whether it's hazardous or not very good for the vegetables. I'm just saying now, I'm revising and apologising if anybody was slightly scared by that. It might well be safe to eat, but do you want to eat something that's covered onto that's not natural to that product, like an orange or a lemon or a cucumber? And do you really want to eat something that has you can't wash it off, that you can't rinse it off or clean it? The other one, if anyone from the Evans company, that is a hazardous thing for cleaning, that's a completely different thing. So I apologize if I have confused people on that way. But this is one of the problems when you're desperately trying to inform people and somebody sent you stuff. You assume that they've got it right, which was a huge mistake on my part. Not to worry. Somebody else sent me an interesting thing, and I thought it was worth going through a number of things. And you know, at the end of the day, I suppose you guys watching this have to use your own critical thinking to say, is this true? Is it not true? Is it just a mistake? I'm not trying to deceive anybody in any of my bulletins or my monologues or whatever. So before I come to the other thing, I should say that you may have noticed I use a lot of allegory. You know, the ability to sort of use a story, a fable, if you like, in the way that many storytellers will tell you a story that isn't actually true, but it's based on truth. So yesterday I did the story of Biggleswick, and a number of people thought that it was a real place. Now, if you're overseas, again, lesson learned, if you're overseas and you don't know England, you may not realise there is actually no county called Bessex or Goodfordshire, as I made up. I thought that would be bleeding obvious, but of course I forgot that there will be many people who watch this from overseas who have no idea. And Biggleswick sounds like should be a town. It sounds like a very nice town with lots of noble people and a rather gruesome council. So I used an allegory to tell a story. The point of that video was simply to say, if everybody in a town decided their council was not working for them and had a public meeting and effectively said, do you know what? You're not doing as we ask. We just don't recognise you as our council, and started up their own council, then why not take the money you would pay to that council as your own council and do the town how you want it as a people. So it's all about taking back the responsibility yourself rather than just always going to a council or the government and saying, oh, we've had a decision, we don't like that, thanks very much. Is it all right if we... You don't need to beg. We shouldn't need to beg. We, the people, are sovereign. And if in our own town we decide we don't want 15-minute cities, we don't want a smart grid of 5G, we don't want to be encased in a prison, we don't want all these measures with biometrics and cameras and all of these things, then surely it's down to us as people, because there's more of us than there are of them, to say you're irrelevant. You're not doing what we provide, and therefore we just don't want it. And that was the point of that story, to try and get it over. And I will continue to use allegory, the ability to tell a story, because also it's a way of, sometimes necessary way, to get past the censorship or the terms and conditions of certain video platforms, so that you can say something and an intelligent audience, and I'm assuming that you are intelligent, can work out when something is a bit true, or is totally true, or is sarcastic but with truth backing it up, or the concept is built within the allegory. Now, somebody sent me in this, which is curious. I want to show you this. This is from the Department of for Environment and Rural Affairs, and it's a consultation on the draft revised air quality strategy. It closes on the 21st of April. I believe it only started on the 11th of April. So like most of these government things that have been coming up recently, you don't get a lot of time. And whether the public are allowed to take part in this, I'm not really sure. It's quite complicated because it starts talking about these PM 2.5 target implementation. I mean, nobody could understand this unless you are somebody who knows all these, I suppose, these whatever it is, whatever's in the air, in the chemicals reaction to various things. But I think we don't need to be that dumb to understand that some of these things are really there really to penalise us, because we seem to have understood. Oh, here we go. You can get in here and say who you are, where you are, and what your organisation is, and take part in a service. Personally, I don't think it's worth doing. I don't think the government listen. It's more likely they're just collecting emails of troublemakers if you participate. I think it's worth writing to MPs and rebutting any kind of things, because I think ultimately this is about stopping people from having bonfires in their gardens. It's probably stopping people having wood-burning stoves, probably stopping people from having barbecues. Basically, it seems to me that all these things that the government are trying to legislate for and prevent is to stop us from having a life, from having a bit of fun. And again, it's when you get to a point where the government is just against you in every single way, as it does seem to be at the moment, in pushing forward legislation for stuff we've not asked for, we don't want, we've never had any problems in the past, we've managed to survive. Yes, we don't want big factories polluting the air, we get that, that's perfectly fine, and we don't want big factories polluting our rivers and our sea. That would be good. We even find that some of the water companies are getting rid of the effluent into the sea or into the rivers and things like that. Well, I'd rather they sort that out first than come after us, who are just trying to have a little bit of life after we've worked hard and paying our mortgage, paying our council tax, paying all these bills that we're supposed to be doing. It seems that the government do not seem to be on our side. And again, in many ways, I think to myself, do you know what? They're irrelevant. They're just not doing what we want them to do. I think that a whole root and branch change is required. The government that we have, not the individual Labour or Tories or all of that, the whole government system of the House, the Houses of Parliament, all of it needs to go. It just needs to disappear, and we need to have a whole new way of governing ourselves, because they don't seem to understand what democracy is, and they seem to be more of a tyrannical one. They want us to vote for them, and then they go against whatever it is they put in their manifesto, and they just bulldoze things towards us. And it's not acceptable. And so I think that's why the whole government just needs to be evaporated, and we turn our backs. And as a country, we set up a whole new government altogether. We have the king about to be coronated, and we don't know what the oath is. They refused to publish the oath. They said they've never done that before. And that may be true, maybe they didn't. But in the age of the internet, in which we can voice our opinions and say, well, we're just a bit concerned because King Charles III did open the WEF's Great Reset. We're just a bit concerned. He's been very outspoken in the past. He's been in favour of organic farming, which seemed very good. But now he seems to have turned his back with this act of precision breeding, in which allows animals to be potentially bred with gene modification. That doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like he is the same fellow, and I'm not saying that he's been, an alien of some description has morphed into his body or anything, but he doesn't seem to be the same person that he was years ago before involved with that mob at the WEF. And he's either being ill-advised or he has really changed what he wants as his kingship has approached him. So who knows? Who knows? But again, it's all a bit worrying, and you almost wonder whether... And now I've been a royalist all my life, but I'm beginning to wonder whether I'm turning into a Republican at the end of it, because they all seem to be spongers and against people. They don't really seem to be on our side at all. And that's a real worry. So that was that. Now, here we go. We've got these alerts coming out on the 23rd of this month, St. George's Day. Have a look at this. This was in the Daily Mail. Which genius thought it was a good idea to terrify the whole country at 3 p.m. on a Sunday? Campaigners warn texting a test emergency alert risks panic. And it may well risk panic, but I think more is the two things it says here. The motoring groups have warned drivers could be distracted by this alert because it's going to be quite loud and it's going to be on your screen. If you've got your phone up doing your GPS and you're trying to follow somewhere, then clearly that's going to sort of distract your attention. If you're on the motorway driving at 60 or 70 miles an hour and overtaking a lorry and suddenly you're distracted, you may well swerve. So I'm slightly concerned that there's going to be motoring accidents at that time. You can't actually say, because it's going on at 3 p.m. on the afternoon, everyone's got to pull over. You can't pull over onto the hard shoulder because the police will be on your tail as soon as. You can't have all the traffic just stopping so that the government can test an alert. And I want to know, why now? Why now of all times? What's curious to me is these alerts have been built into the phones. Clearly, we've not been issued with a new phone that this new system has come in. They've been built into the phones for donkey's years, and yet the government has never taken up the advice or the opportunity to use them. So why now? Why all of a sudden now, a few days before the coronation? You see, my theory is that this is going to happen a few days before the coronation. We'll go, oh yeah, okay, so that's how that works then. We'll have the coronation, people will be on a high, assuming they want the king to be their king and coronated and the oath is okay. And then as soon as that happens, as was the case with so many of these things, something, what I think will be a red flag situation, will happen immediately afterwards. Maybe a terrorist attack, who knows? Maybe a bunch of people who've come over in rubber boats will escape from one of their luxury hotels and cause chaos and mayhem in the streets. Or maybe there is something else. Could be the UFO attack that we know is planned for us. I'll talk about that in a second. So I think there's something going to happen with these alerts. But the other thing about these alerts that women's charities have been saying, and it's even here on the headline, women charities fear that the alert could tip off abusers about a secret lifeline telephone. Those women who realise that their partners are abusive, and they have got a spare phone that they've not told their partners, and nobody knows about it. They have it in a hidden place, that when they're abused, if they need to ring up a charity or the police or a friend, that they've got hidden so that the abusive partner doesn't know anything about it. If that starts ringing up, they'll suddenly, again, unless they've wrapped it in tin foil about 8 times and switched it off, unless they can get to that, they may not even know that these alerts are going to happen. These sort of, we know it, but not everybody knows these things. And suddenly a phone will ring in a sock drawer somewhere, or under the floorboard, or, behind a picture, wherever people have hidden these devices, so that in an emergency, they can help themselves and get a friend or the police. It's going to alert the abuser, and then what happens? Again, the government clumsily going forward with things, just the way they locked everybody down during the pandemic, without any thought about what it's like for families who are not used to being slammed into one place in a small flat, with perhaps the tensions that would have arisen with the child abuse that could have happened. Again, the government knee-jerk reaction, but I think more for a sinister thing than just incompetence. I think this was the alerts is a much more sinister thing, that something down the line is likely to happen. You can tell me what you think. I'd be interested in the comments. So I was told by a reliable source that coming up some point is going to be an invasion from UFOs. This isn't real UFOs at all. Whether you are one of those people who are able to actually channel different spirits or whatever, it's nothing to do with those. It's nothing to do with anything that might be a possibility. This is a man-made thing that's going to be looked like a UFO invasion. And of course, we've seen already that a few things have been happening, and mysterious balls or missiles or shapes or unidentified whatever that have been shot down and miraculously we've not seen. And so the next thing is going to be some red flag event to terrify people. That seems to be the idea that these people want to do. And the government, I think, are probably complicit with this. Probably, note the word probably, not for certain, but I would imagine they're part of it, because they seem to be in with everything else that's been planned for us, the people. And with a little bit of clever technology that perhaps we're not aware of, holographic technology, maybe some chemtrails in the sky to make it a bit misty and murky, with everybody in their cameras filming it with lights and some laser things. And maybe, as I watched a video the other day of a young lady who was talking about mysterious things being put into manholes, covers, odd, not what you might call official bodies from British Gas or whatever organisations, but turning up and putting, devices or something into drain covers in London. If you've seen this, then it would be interesting. She reported, now I can't say, and again, caveat here, it may all be absolutely innocent, but she reported that she'd noticed a number of these, and as soon as she sort of asked somebody about it, they were very cagey and didn't want to talk about it at all. Now, it struck me that if you were setting up an invasion of a UFO thing and you wanted to create the illusion and you were part of it, you may pay some nefarious people to put some sort of exploding device under manhole covers next to gas mains. That seemed to be the thing that she said. Now, as I say, don't be scared. This may be complete hogwash. I'm saying that again. It may be rubbish. But if you wanted to create the illusion that a city was under attack and you had some clever mechanics to put holograms in the sky with some laser coming down, and then you had exploding drain covers flying up and gas burning, you could have the illusion that there was actually a UFO invasion. So much so that a lot of people, gullible people, and let's face it, a lot of people thought that Biggleswick was a place between two comedy counties. A lot of people will panic because they won't they won't use critical thinking and saying, what am I actually observing? Is it likely that a big spaceship just above the clouds with a few lights and things and lasers, and yes, there are gas mains blowing up, is it really UFOs? And if so, why now? Why now of all times? If UFOs wanted to come and they had the technology, they could have wiped us out years ago. Why are they attacking us? Is it because the American Air Force has shot down a few of those mysterious shapes? Is that why they've come back to attack us? Will they knock out an airliner out of the space and kill real people? Well, it doesn't surprise me that such organisations, such governmental bodies might do that. It seems to me that they have done that before. They don't really care too much about our lives, individual lives. They don't really seem to be on our side. They seem to be working on a different agenda. That's how it appears to me. Maybe I've got that wrong. If Richie Sunak wants to come on the show and tell me that I've got it absolutely wrong, he'd be more than happy. I would love to ask him. But anyway, that's what I've heard. So in the summer. But rest assured, it won't be real UFOs. That is extremely unlikely, and you've got to be able to use your critical thinking. Now, finally, I want to end up on this video, which is a bit different from my other videos, I grant you. But in this video, I just want to end up saying, do you know, in all of this, I've been learning about how important it is to have our vibrations raised. The power of positive thought, to look for solutions and not be terrified. It seems to me that these people who've mucked about with certain medical interventions, these people who've forcing us to eat fruit with various dubious substances on, those people who seem to be oppressively trying to get rid of us for whatever reason, to keep telling us that global warming is a thing. All of this is to get us scared, agitated, distracted, and frustrated, and somewhat terrified. Don't be. Don't, excuse me, don't be. They may be doing bad things, but one of the way to push back is to raise your vibrations. And by that, I mean keep a positive mental attitude. Try to totally believe. I do think that there is, as I've been exploring this, I think there is a lot in mind power. Some people would say I'm talking absolute rubbish. But keeping our vibrations, and even if there is nothing in mind power, if there was the slightest chance that having a positive mental attitude, that being more embracing with life and seeing beauty and being happy and sharing positivity with our friends and everyone we encounter, if there's a slightest chance that that will push back against evil forces, then shouldn't we at least give it a go? That would be my message. And no doubt I'll be talking to some more experts about that. Finally, I understand that tickets are now available at the Better Way conference. I'm hosting a couple of panels, so you can come along and actually see me and talk to me if you so wish. That may be the last thing that you ever want to do, and I understand that. But also, there's online, so you can watch from the comfort of your living room or wherever you want to watch, and all of it. So go to check it out. Just use your favourite search engine, the Better Way conference in Bath, which is the 3rd to the 4th of June this year, and tickets are available, I believe. And yes, I know they can seem a little expensive, but people are coming from all over the world. And as far as I know, I'm giving a hosting there, and I'm not actually being paid to do it. So I think they're going to put me up in a hotel, which is very kind, but they're not actually paying me. I'm doing this. I'm doing it because I think it's important. And I think getting the truth and meeting all these people who've got insights to the truth and freedom and finding a better way to a better world, I think that's important. So just, I'm not actually being paid. There might be some something in the ticket sales, I believe, that, you know, a small percentage if people buy it with a code. But I haven't put a code in this one, so there you go. Not earning anything from it, so buy them now, and that ensures I don't get paid. Anyway, there you go. So apologies if I didn't appeal to the correct information on that last video, but I hope you'll bear with me on more. I'll be back with more interviews and various things coming up very soon, but until next time, bye for now.